It's been
We've mentioned it 100
so
times, which I know. This
Had a lot of screen time with that not having its own
we
screen.
could honestly, if we were to be like a great podcast channel and we got some sort of financial compensation for it,
Yeah.
we would go back through every video review, clip the time Raw was talked about, and then make a supercut of the review of
And
like.
just post that as your review.
Yeah. Which for the
Well,
record,
see, that's
That would
if you
be
actually
great.
had like an editor.
Mm.
But we just
what
have
do you mean? We do have an editor.
Not an uploader.
So
Not
you
an
got
uploader.
give them
Not an
money and you're
uploader.
gonna pay for an editor, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe eventually the AI will cover
The
that
AI will
for
do
us.
it.
Nathan
We'll
will be the
just-
first one to find it.
That's true. You will.
The
It would be really easy
No.
to tell it, like, hey, take all this footage, and every time you hear the word raw, show me all of those clips,
Yep.
Right.
and then there you go.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Clap sync. Hey! Welcome to a very projected episode of the F Movie Podcast. We're your hosts, Jill, Annabeth, Nathan, Dylan, and Mason. Nathan.
Hey, Nathan.
Nathan. On today's episode, this is a little weird because I stole Mason's movie on this case, so
You
Mason,
really did.
I'll still have you set it
very
up.
much did.
Well, it was necessary and it was seasonally appropriate. But Mason, what movie are we talking about?
Today we're watching Raw.
Wow.
We're talking about Raw. We've
Yeah.
already
Talking
watched
about
it.
Nathan, did you watch Raw?
Of course.
I don't.
About this big.
About that big,
Yeah.
and only the parts with nudity.
Only about this
So-
much, right? Would you say about that much? Of
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
I believe that about
That-
that much.
I thought it was this one. That was the,
There's the
ring
middle
finger.
finger.
Yeah, it was the middle finger. It was it.
Yeah.
She went to bite it.
Anyways, so if you're a fan of this podcast, you've probably heard us talk about this for about 19 seasons or wherever we're on now. But we've actually just never got around to recording the review on it. So part of my motivations for picking Mason's movie is A, because it was a Boomerang one, B, it felt thematic to October. I was really hoping it was going to land. And although this movie review won't be out by October, this did happened right on the tail end of it, or right before
Just
Halloween.
barely.
Yeah. We
Tomorrow's Halloween.
Just
Yeah.
barely made it in
Not
time
to
for
date
that.
the podcast or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this will be out in January.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Happy
Which
New
is-
Year.
Which is
Snow.
for movie season.
Yeah,
This-
we could
Yeah.
put this whole review off for another year and then make it the Halloween
Mm.
review of next year.
Now
Which-
then our fans would get worried.
That's true. They would get worried.
You have fans?
Correct.
That's a good question.
I don't know. We keep making them hosts. That's the hard part, right? Like, so, anyways, Mason, what is Raw about?
Pretty simple story. The
Simple love story.
Yeah, just your typical teen romance.
Yeah.
A girl who is come from a line of veterinary doctors goes into college and
To be a veterinarian.
to be another veterinarian,
Yeah.
and she goes through a hazing ritual where she has to eat raw meat. Well, of course, she's a vegetarian, and it kind of just unleashes something in her that she can't quite control.
I feel like we say hijinks ensue, but I feel like it's really important to say she starts eating people.
Yeah,
So-
cannibalism ensues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cannibal. The
Yeah.
hijinks is cannibalism. Spoiler. And people people eat good. Really graphic scenes at times with it, but yeah, that's more or less the whole plot on that one. So let's leap in. So first time watchers, Jill and Annabeth,
Mhm.
I want to get your quick like, just fine.
Did you guys watch it together?
Yeah,
No,
separately.
Wow.
Wow. See, I feel like that makes it.
Good for you.
I was busy.
I feel like it makes it worse. I feel like
Yeah.
having an extra person watching it would like buffered. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Nathan, how
I don't
many
think it would've
exact
fixed
inches
anything.
of your screen did you commit to watching this movie on the rewatch?
What's that like? Yay big.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that's
believe-
good.
I
Did you
believe.
enjoy the sounds though?
No, you keep
The
those real
munching.
low too.
Let's see.
I hope you watch. Did you watch it dubbed, or I guess you couldn't really watch
Yeah,
it?
you
Yeah.
Oh yeah, how'd you watch it?
In
Yeah.
French, obviously.
It was
Eh,
Yeah.
spoiler.
Do you just
Do,
listen
do
to
you
French?
really need English? Parlez-vous français?
Yeah. I will say
Justine.
I did watch this whole movie without subtitles this time.
How?
Because the version I
Mm-hmm.
obtained
Yeah.
did not have subtitles with it.
Yeah.
But I was like, I already watched this and I know loosely what we're talking
You know
about.
exactly
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah, like
So you also just watched it in French.
yeah. Well, it was gonna be in French no matter what. It was just
Yeah,
gonna
I
be French
mean,
with
it's-
subs. Like
It's gonna be
It's
a
a French
fun
movie.
review.
yeah. So
you
it was,
watch it in French.
I will say this is my second watch of the film, and with no subtitles, without the context, but having watched it the first time, yeah, you know what? There's something about here's a compliment for the movie. The movie's plot overall, speaking with it, is so visually on display at all times that you could really not even look at the subtitles, and you know what's going on.
Well,
And I know biased because I watched it the first time, so I do know the plot. But for the most part, as I was watching along, because mind you, it's been years since we watched Raw the first time. I was like, yeah, she goes to school, French people fucking and dancing. Yeah, this is just what French people do.
yeah.
And then,
Well, of course, we just watched the Olympics.
right, yeah, and they didn't even shoot any of those horses.
No,
So-
no.
You know, so I do think that is a little bit of a credit to it. Where having gone in just watching a French movie for being French, I was like, huh. I don't feel particularly lost on this one. I'm like, all right, yeah. And then she starts eating people. The movie, but you guys, this is your first watch. Delightful? I don't know what's the first word that comes to mind for you on this one.
Stupid.
Project.
Mm-hmm.
Project.
Yeah.
Stupid.
There you go.
There you go. We gotta have passion in this one. All right.
I don't think I'd feel passionately about this movie anyway.
Oh, I don't know. I felt very passionately about this movie when I first watched it. It left an impression.
There you go.
It
That's a
wasn't
good way to
as
put
bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Ah,
Like, y'all built it up to be so bad, I was
it.
like,
grotesque.
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
From
Got it.
Nathan's reaction, I assumed the body horror would be to unwatchable levels,
Yeah.
but that didn't
Yeah.
bother me at all.
Uh-huh.
Good.
And I thought there would be lots of dead animals
Because of the
Yeah,
veterinary.
because it's a
veterinarian,
veterinary
yeah.
school. And so I was just kind of like, well, at first I was going to be on edge, and then I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to look this up on Does the Dog Die? And,
Oh yeah.
and so I
And-
found out, like,
and
when
yes.
the parts... Yes,
Yeah,
and
that's
yes,
right.
spoiler alert, the dog does die.
But it is off screen.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought, vet school, there's going to be lots of dead animals. She's going to be eating them before she graduates to
Yeah,
people.
you would
Yeah.
think.
And
That
that,
would
didn't
make
really
sense.
happen, so I was
No.
glad of that. Like, for some reason, her eating people, as disturbing as it was like, okay, at least she skipped the animals.
Yeah.
But she ate some raw chicken.
She
did.
did.
But none
she
of them
did.
were
Yeah, but
veterinary
it was like
animals.
food chicken. It wasn't
I did
like...
expect her to eat some animals.
Yeah,
and that
I
did
was
not
afraid
happen.
she was going to eat the dog.
We advanced pretty quickly to just eating people. I think
Yeah.
It's our first base and our home base. So
Yeah.
in a lot of ways that makes
She
sense.
just got a home run immediately.
Yeah.
I think that's where this movie does have a little bit of, I guess you could call it, I call it strength. When the tempo finally hits, like whenever, the diner or the gas station, that's when like that very next scene is like the chicken out of the fridge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then, just all kinds of stuff happens from there on. And it is quick after that.
Yeah, the fact that this movie takes place over the course of a week.
Yeah.
One
And-
week.
So,
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you, did you think that it only took the course of a week?
I mean, based on the logic of the movie, it took 1 week.
Well, yeah, because at the end he blows the horn, and at the beginning he
They
was
said
like...
at the beginning of the movie their hazing thing would be 1 week long, and when it's over, they'll blow the horn.
Okay, because the very first review,
Uh-huh.
you guys told me it was a whole semester.
It seemed
It
like it
feels
would
like
have
it
been
feels
a
like a
whole
whole
semester.
semester.
Like, without the horn thing, I would assume it was several weeks.
I thought it was too.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a month or so.
I won't lie, that's a fact that would have eluded me this time because it was
Yeah.
all just
Because it
French
was
to
in
me.
French.
So,
I do.
so I'm
I'm
not going
glad-
to debate what
I'm
my
glad we
original
had our
take on
fact
it.
checkers in on
Yeah.
it because
Yeah.
I've seen this movie a few times.
I'm
but
sure.
I've always ever since I got corrected, I was like, oh okay, well
Yeah.
maybe this is over the course of a semester, which
You-
would make more sense than a
No.
week.
I don't know why you say corrected like we were.
Yeah, we were.
No,
so
no,
we
no,
were
no.
recording stuff back
We
then.
weren't.
Yeah,
no,
so
but
you
we
can't-
were sitting around a round table,
We
and
were.
I think it was like 1v2 1/4. There was like, oh yeah, I think it was over the course of a semester. I was like,
It feels, I
Okay.
mean, for what it's worth, it does feel like it.
it feels like
yeah.
it should be.
It
Yeah.
would make more sense if it was over
It
the
would make a
course
lot
of
more sense.
the
Yeah.
semester, but it was 1 week, and
I
that
mean, I would say
escalated
that. I don't feel like it would
quickly.
make any more sense a week versus
A semester?
a semester.
The
other
amount
than
of
the fact
consumption-
it just feels like a semester.
The amount of consumption, it would make sense for it to be a week.
Yeah, because it's not that much.
She eats a lot of.
She
She eats a
doesn't.
lot during that. Well,
doesn't.
No, she
She drinks
doesn't.
a fair amount
But
of blood.
Yeah.
She does.
She
listen,
doesn't really eat that much.
She doesn't eat hardly anything.
The
in
hair.
theory. Yeah.
Ugh, the hair.
That was pretty gross.
That was so gross.
That was just a twitch, kind of, like a, I'm biding my time. I'm just,
Oh.
I will say
Yeah,
the amount of
like
hair
a
that
finicky.
comes out of her does
Yeah.
not seem like a normal amount of chewing over the
No.
course of 1 day.
No.
Right.
I watched this with a buddy in like an independent theater down in Nashville, and
Sounds like a
afterwards,
porn theater, for the record.
well, it's a Belcourt.
So it is a porn theater.
Yeah.
No.
Anyways, the only part that got him in the entire movie I asked him afterwards because we both just seen it for the first time, and he was like, "Just that hair scene, man. Like, I
Yeah.
hated that."
Was it the eye thing? That was the only time I had to look
me?
away.
That was me.
I couldn't look at the screen during that part.
Wait, what was the eye
When
thing?
the girl was like licking a guy's eyeball.
Yeah.
Ew.
Like, she had gone full tilt, and it was like panning in on her from like across the club, and like, yeah, like Jill said, there was
Yeah.
somebody that was like licking another person's eyeball.
No, I was
It was
pretty.
weird.
I was pretty into that. But my main thing, I think
full
on
box being checked
on
there.
on a rewatch, I will say the thing that honestly probably upset me the most is still the. It's as soon as the finger gets cut off and she's eating the finger.
Yeah.
Was it the noise that just drops?
Well-
It's like a loud musical choice.
Fun
It
context.
goes wrong.
Fun context is Hannah made chili for me this week, and I don't know
Good.
if you've ever eaten chili consistently and then watched Raw, but it's a jarring dissociation for me when I'm just like, I look at the
I
bowl.
can actually fully relate because like I didn't think the movie was bad while I was watching it in terms of like the gore stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then Annabeth watched it right after me because
Yeah.
I was going to bed basically. She was watching it so late.
You
Right.
didn't
And I
want
was
to watch
making
it with her again?
I was
Uh.
making dinner and like I just imagine eating the food. Nothing had even happened yet. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can eat this while the movie's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was me. Like it was like day 2. Yeah, like it was like day 2 of like it's like the first day leftover chili, and I'm like, okay. And I remember like I just watched the movie and I was like, all right, let's go downstairs and eat. And I just looked at it.
And then you're kind of thinking about Wendy's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
whole finger
But
thing.
then
The
I-
finger and the
Like,
chili.
if Hannah had had like the presence of mind to put a fake finger
Oh,
in
that
the
would've been
chili,
so
That'd be
good.
good.
Spooky season.
No, she wouldn't do that because she wants me to make sure that I eat all of it. Because if she makes it, she doesn't.
She
It's
won't eat
great.
it?
She's like, yeah, she's not eating it. So
Yeah.
she's like,
Well,
yeah.
you gotta
That's,
make sure she doesn't have any meat because you know the same thing could happen, right?
no,
Yeah.
she already
good point.
she relapsed on chicken nuggets after her death.
Oh, really?
So
Relax.
we're already there. Don't let me take my shirt off though. It's really gross.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Has that been in the last week? Because maybe she should still be concerned.
She did. I think she did say she ate chicken nuggets the other day. She did. She had it for a haunted Halloween. Not the point.
Chicken would be the weakness.
It would be.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Anyways, so
chicken nuggets though.
yeah,
Chicken nuggets.
McDonald's chicken nuggets to be clear, because there's a nostalgia factor
Gross.
behind it. I guess. I know. I don't like it either. But Nathan, on rewatch for you, what stuck out? Like, what was there particular gore that hit you hard?
Were you looking forward to anything?
I'm gonna hit you in the head.
Yeah, hit it.
Is it a mosquito?
I think
Ah!
it's
Yeah.
I got it.
You got it.
Yeah.
She actually got it.
I did see it float, but I'm pretty sure she just wanted to abuse you.
not really.
Yeah.
But it's annoyingly this movie just continues to live rent free. I hate that it exists.
Yeah.
Or that that
I don't
three
remember
individuals
what
made you
score
watch
I gave
it.
it. I'll give it a lower score this time. I promise that.
See, I'm course correcting the score,
Promise
ironically.
that.
Yeah. I think we're like it gets smaller every time the score gets smaller. The
Yeah,
screen
the
space
screen
of which
is
you watch it
also
gets smaller.
reflecting it.
Yeah.
It'll be on a Game Boy Color size screen next time.
I think it already was.
Yeah, pretty much, right? I guess other things to talk about on this one. Something that stuck out to me. I remember on the first time that of course, I'm going to point out, but I think it's relative. Is the use of nudity and sexuality in this movie is really, really. I mean, I'll use the term interesting, I guess, because it's
That's a choice.
it's French, so naturally, like they're
It's
very
different.
laissez-faire about the
It's
nudity
different,
already, right? So like at times you're like, man, this is a weird movie to have fetishes for, you know. But like, I think the other parts of it though is that it comes from that European style of like shooting sexuality, where it's just
Sure.
like, yeah, it makes sense in the scene, and then like whenever they're making other things, like I think that. For instance, sex stuff on scene isn't portrayed nearly as sexy cinematography wise as like her eating people on scene, right? Like there is a certain intimacy and like a discourse of
And
like
you could tell
yeah.
that's how they framed it.
Right.
She was getting off when
that's
she was.
the
you
good
know,
shit for her, right?
Yeah,
is
and
the
I mean,
eating
it's-
people.
And I thought, like you said, like just that choice was far and beyond. I mean, it's
I think it's an interesting angle. No, I really,
Yeah.
I like that as a perspective of saying like, all right, when we have things that this is what should be sexy, but this is what actually is.
and
sexy.
they weren't trying to accommodate us.
No, not
Like,
at all.
That's the choice that they chose in a different region and a different part of the world
Most of the
on
nudity
a
in
different spectrum entirely.
right
Which
in
is neat.
in
I thought.
general turns to serve as like hijinks, right? I mean, like the scene that always sticks out to me, and this is one that unfortunately lives rent free in my head, is like the sister like trying to piss standing up, and then she's like, you got to exert that. Then she gets there, this is and then our main character does, and she's pissing everywhere, and it's just like it seems like this where it's like, all right, this is like full on like by all American like Christian standards, wow, this is racy nudity in a lot of ways for movies, but then it's just like they're just peeing on each other, like. So I do think that it does enough to subvert expectations for at least the American watcher of these
For
films to say like, oh, okay, I just appreciate the little differences in that.
Yeah, I mean, going back to like the sex scenes side of things, like the bathroom scene where like the guy was yellow and she was blue.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah.
go make green.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
that was, I thought, kind of interesting, but it's just this like, I don't know, it was just like a different take. Did it get a little sexy like this much?
At time, right?
But
Like
really,
little
it
tiny
wasn't-
bursts.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, which is good because that's.
We're at a
not
dance
what
club
you're-
where people are topless, but it's France, so
That's
everybody's
the thing. You
topless.
saw more
right?
nudity and more like sexuality in your dance clubs than you did
Right.
during the sex scenes or
Right.
like the intimate scenes, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially when her and Andre were kind of going at it too.
Was
So
for both of you, was there any like shock and awe to like the people dying, or is the? I guess at any point was there ever moments where it's just like, oh man, we're kind of pushing the envelope, or I didn't think it was going to go this way, like relative in the movie, because I mean we're kind of just getting girl eats
I mean,
people.
when you know the movie's about cannibalism. you're not
Yeah.
really shocked by
Yeah.
much.
That's true. I guess if we had gone into it not knowing it was a movie about cannibalism, it would have been a little more surprising.
That makes more sense. I don't know if I can't remember if we had that card ahead of time when we first watched it.
I don't know if I gave you guys.
I don't think you did. I think you were just.
I don't think I.
I don't remember.
Showed it.
I don't remember either, right? But I remember thinking like, oh, we're watching a movie about
But like,
this.
and
Yeah,
here
I
we are.
think it was very much a like you were just lobbing a bomb into the group.
You were, yeah. You
In
saw
the-
chaos
in the
that
same
day.
way that I like was Lawnmower Man before or after that?
It was right before
It
it.
was right.
No, it was
No,
actually.
it was
I think
after.
it was the
I
movie
think it
after.
was
Because
I
we
think
had-
it was after because I was like, all right,
You know what?
You know what?
Yeah.
like, I don't care either.
And I'm the only one who got
War has
punished
been waged.
more than most on that case. I've never
So-
forgiven you, Nathan. for
So
that.
here, we keep talking about like, yeah, the movie's cannibalism, whatever.
Yeah.
How did you guys like the plot? Like, as in, like, granted, yeah, it might have moved a little bit too quickly for it to be a week. But did
It
you guys
felt
like?
The Novice, and I realized I don't like those movies
Ah.
I find
It
them
does kind of feel like a
annoying.
novelist,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Oh
It does
yeah,
kinda feel like
yeah.
a
I mean,
novice.
I thought that whenever
Girl
we
who
watched
goes
the
to
Novice,
college
it
is
felt
way
that
too
way.
intense about stuff.
You know what? I think
Does
I actually.
weird things.
You picked that one.
Well, I think I said that in the novice.
I'm pretty sure
review.
we did.
Oh,
Yeah,
I- like it's apt comparison.
it
It
is.
is.
Yeah.
She kind of finds like a hunger for something, or there'd be a passion for rowing
Right.
versus this.
Oh, that's the rowing movie. I
The
haven't
rowing
seen
one,
The
yeah.
Novice.
It's-
Yeah, also a little
Yeah,
bit
it's-
body horror, but not nearly as much.
Yeah. for
Yeah,
sure.
it's more like the picking scabby stuff in novice.
Yeah, it's just kind of gross,
Yeah.
self-obsessive,
Mhm.
like
Uncomfortable.
body deterioration kind
Right.
of stuff.
Like the filmmaker wants you to feel
Right.
uncomfortable in any way possible.
Yeah. I remember thinking the first time I watched this though, I was like, fuck you, vegetarian propaganda, and then I was like, I'm still eating chili this week, and then I was like, I'm gonna go eat a hamburger later this week just to prove a point, you French bastards. So, what scene in specific with, and I'm more intrigued on your guys'
Yeah,
first
me
time
too.
watch, what scene in specific was like the worst one for you? I know we were kind of talking about that
What do
earlier.
you mean by worst?
So,
Most uncomfy.
yes, what made you the most,
Besides like the eyeball.
We'll
I
take
guess.
the
It was
eyeball.
definitely the eyeball. for
Yeah.
sure.
I did not like the hair.
Mm.
Which one, the hair vomiting or the hair ripping?
The hair vomiting
Oh,
was
yeah.
it was like an unending hairball. It was just
I don't know. When you have cats, is that why aren't you? I feel like you should be desensitized to that.
I
by
don't
now,
want to
right?
be the cat.
Yeah.
though.
Oh.
Like that's the thing. When a cat does it, I'm like, oh, poor cat. And then when
No, God, those smell so bad.
Yeah, they do. They do pretty.
oh
stinky.
yeah,
It just looks like they like.
It just
Tia
looks like
she
hair
just
poop.
pooped out of her mouth.
yeah, yeah.
You guys ever just poop out of your mouth? You know, like.
That's weird because she didn't look like she pooped out.
No,
of her
she
mouth.
didn't
No.
either. I will say that the waxing scene. was
That's
fun.
what I was about to
Mhm.
say.
The waxing?
Actually, that's worse than the
The
hair.
waxing scene.
The
Oh, yeah.
waxing
That's
scene.
the
I
one-
hated that so much.
That's the
That's
one.
the-
that,
that's
like,
your least
could
favorite
make
one, I
me-
think, yeah.
Like that. That's what I think about with this movie, and I hate it.
You know the part that gets me on the waxing scene. It's not even the hair. It's
I
the
don't-
you hear the scissor kick.
Yeah, I don't.
It's when you hear the
do
kick,
we
the
need
scissor.
to?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
we need to?
Yeah.
I did not. Yeah, the waxing. Nope. Not even like when she proceeds to get her finger cut off.
Yeah.
So, no, like the actual,
actual
waxing.
just the
was
waxing.
The
worse.
actual just the waxing.
I was just like, nope.
Yeah.
Is it just fair?
Yeah.
Ugh, I didn't want to see that.
Well,
I know what that is.
But the scratching,
Oh, I hated the scratching
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I hated
the vegetarian, like the cannibalism rash at the beginning
Yes,
of the
the
film.
the
cannibalism.
raw rabbit kidney
I
rash.
Yeah.
love just the idea that like the movie is just like, and this is what happens if a vegetarian eats meat.
Not
Yeah.
any vegetarian.
Yeah.
This family.
Specific family.
This
Right.
Wendigo,
For whatever
Wendigo
reason, I don't
curse
really
one.
know.
Yeah.
But my
But
thing
until
is,
you know that it runs in the family, you're just like, this is
sure.
Yeah.
hilarious that it's putting forward like,
Well,
okay, here's what happens if you
and
eat
I mean, if you
meat.
spent your whole lifetime not eating meat, you would get sick.
You would
I
get
mean-
some kind of a reaction.
Yeah.
But
And then turn into a cannibal.
at the
Right.
very beginning, too, it makes you think back to, like, she almost had, like, that meatball thing that was in the mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
her mom freaked
And
out
the mom
about
freaks
it.
out, which you're like, that's just a mom being a mom, whatever. But,
Yeah.
like,
She would have been normal had she eaten the cooked meatball versus a rabbit kidney.
do
Maybe.
you think that's a spin on it? I've never thought about
Do you
that.
think
Something
you-
that's cooked versus raw?
Follow-up thought, would you only
is called
eat
raw.
Italians? Does it just specify
Yeah,
the...
she would have a
Well,
taste
she
for
doesn't only
Italian.
eat rabbits.
It's true.
Wow.
No.
She just
That's
eats
fair.
humans that breed like rabbits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
The French, the Italians, all the Romance languages. She finds her way to Spain eventually,
Yeah.
so
You got a Latin root language.
Yeah.
The cannibals are coming.
they're coming for
Watch out.
Mm-hmm. Puritanical USA, you're fun.
I do want to go back to, like, right after the scissor cut, the finger, whatever.
Yeah.
But because, like,
It's
from,
okay.
again, just that scene, it sticks out to me because she is sitting in an angle where, like, it's showing the sister behind it, and it never, I guess it cuts a little bit back and forth.
Right.
But, like, you just see, like, the dog in the background, like, licking up the blood.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see, like, the sister kind of, like, sit up, and then, like, it's all just taking place in that exact scene, and
I think
it's...
the only cut is just the sister's face.
Yeah.
Right.
That was such a good cut too, because
Yeah.
it doesn't do like a big like horror movie reveal or anything. Like the music doesn't go boom.
Yeah.
It's just like there she is, and it's really quiet, and her sister's looking.
It's the
Yeah.
finger.
Yeah.
Talking about music, my favorite scene of the whole movie was probably the
The
mirror
the mirror scene. I knew you were gonna bring that one back up.
I to this
The-
day,
The
I
one
still
where she's
have that
making out with
song.
herself?
Yeah,
Yes.
the music is a banger.
The
in that scene,
monster is like
though. Yeah, unleashing.
somehow just stirring, and I don't understand it, but it is like it'll still play like randomly on YouTube Music, and I'm just it takes
For you,
directly
like-
there. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah,
It doesn't just come up on my Spotify. I'll put it to you like that.
it
but
should.
That being said,
Give
it
it
is
a thumbs up.
it is a banger track though.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's a good
You know,
it's a good
Talk
track.
about
and
not
good
knowing
scene.
French. If you just listen to it, you're like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they're saying.
Even if I did know French, it's like,
yeah.
oh, it's kind of weird. We're making a song about cannibalism, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the song's that's a good scene though. I'm glad you did bring that one up because I remember thinking whenever I rewatched that, I was like, oh, this scene is good. It really is just like she's about to just go nuts, isn't she? And
Well, and right after that, I think was like the eyeball scene because like you could just see. That's another
It's
thing.
also
Like
the scene where like she's all posed up weird.
yes,
Too, right?
Yeah.
yes,
she-
you can
where
just
she
see
looks
it in
the
her
scariest.
face. Yes,
Uh-huh.
that she's just kind of like you guys said, deteriorating, but like
Right.
in her own like just physical, her whole appearance, because she is slowly becoming that. Even in the video
Yeah.
footage of whenever her sister was like taunting
Oh,
her.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, she was legit a
That,
zombie.
I thought that was just really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's just like a dog on the just biting.
Yeah.
At the end.
yeah.
Like a little Shih Tzu's nibbling, biting you. Yeah,
Loki, the sister, is like probably the worst villain in this whole movie. I
I was
genuinely.
very confused through most of the movie whether they were supposed to like each other or not like each other.
Well, that's what sisters are. So I think that's a good
I
metric.
think this a
there.
little bit is in the culture because like the younger sister's very much like looking up to, even though the
Mhm.
older sister is treating her pretty much like dog shit the entire movie for the
Yeah,
most part.
she hazes her sister for most of this film.
She
right?
really does. But again, it's just like, well, maybe that's just kind of how that is. I don't know. I don't understand it.
You never just torture your guys' younger siblings consistently?
But like to
Put
go
an
as,
8-year gap there.
yeah.
You'll figure it out.
to
Yeah.
go as far as to like taunt your little sibling in
Right.
front of
Taunt
everyone.
and like gather a bunch of people to watch you being really drunk on the ground trying to eat somebody.
trying to maybe eat
What
someone.
was her
Yeah,
goal for that?
Yeah.
I thought they were trying to keep the cannibalism secret.
you would think.
The character
Yeah.
motivations are a little so-so in the sister. It feels like they just kind of get like loosely reckless at times with it. But I like to imagine that's all of like the brain rot from the cannibalism
Mm.
because
Yeah.
there's enough
Probably has
times.
Kuru.
Yeah, there's enough
I mean,
times
she
where
did lick
she's
that brain.
yeah she did lick the brain, and then also like after she eats, she's got like that, just that flat affect, that very like oh yeah like
Yeah.
her brain's turned off.
She's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, she's high on human calories, right? So I think that we have those moments where it's just like, I don't know. Doesn't sound like she's the most mentally stable throughout this film.
Yeah.
No.
No.
I feel like a lot of the premise of this movie is pretty ridiculous, though.
You think?
If
Like
I
you-
know.
the school?
The school.
I hate the school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the school.
That's
Liability,
not the worst
that's
part.
what I
There
was
is
gonna
no
go
school
into.
anywhere
Yeah.
that teaches veterinary science that is like that.
No.
Well, that's
like,
not true.
And the hazing process
Like,
like
where
that,
are
that
the
everybody has
administrators?
to
That's a
do.
good
There's
point.
one teacher, he doesn't do anything, and
Yeah.
they just dump blood on their students, let them haze in the hallways. It's not
Yeah.
like a fraternity thing, it's just the
Yeah,
school.
it's just the
Yeah.
whole school.
It's
That's
ridiculous.
absurd.
You guys didn't go to
Super
Grayson County High
absurd.
School? Because this is how our biology hallway always ran.
I do kind of
Just
wonder.
blood all
Everywhere.
over the
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
and
how
they're
long they
still wearing
stayed
their
in
little
them.
med coats that are stained for the whole
Yes.
week.
Yeah.
Or like right after they got hazed, like did you guys know they were eating food in them? Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
never
they did their whole
showered
class
after
in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were in
Yeah.
class. It makes me wonder if this isn't some like super prestigious school,
like a
like a
Princeton
Duke
could get away
or,
with this,
yeah,
right?
or like a Yale
like
of veterinary
somewhere with like a
sciences.
skull and bones cult
yeah,
or something.
right.
Yeah,
Well, I was
except
gonna
they
say-
still wouldn't.
I don't
Because
know.
there are administrators.
Not at the school.
Yeah,
Apparently
only the
not.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
there's
the one
the
guy.
one
There's not really a
teacher.
lot
There's
of
the one guy
faculty
in the
There's
at all.
a nurse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, in French, they can't afford it, right? They were rioting, so that okay, I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
Most of them were on strike, and they only had the one professor for that.
And you
Oh.
think he was gonna follow them
That
around, telling them not to
explains
pour blood
Yeah.
on each other?
Listen, French only do three things. They only have sex, smoke cigarettes, and then riot. So
Smoke cigarettes.
that means at least all the rest of them were doing some combination of these three things. So there you go, fixed it.
So before we get into the fat thin, as far as like the plot twist,
Yes.
did that hold any weight to the new?
With the
to
dad
new
by the time
watch?
it's also
yes.
Twist.
Well,
At the
what was
very
the plot? Did you watch the very last
Yeah,
like
the very
30
last-
seconds of the
Was
The
that a
film?
very,
twist?
the very ending.
That,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that a twist. I would call that a reveal.
right?
Sure.
that's
It's
fair.
definitely supposed to be shocking.
Mm,
Was not.
really?
At all.
Yeah.
Oh, where
Like,
you,
the parents are introduced early in the movie that they went there,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
and they're all vegetarians. I just kind of assumed.
Mm,
I assumed the dad was also fucked up.
mm.
Not that he was just a victim.
Not that he was just
Yeah,
the meat,
that
Yeah.
he is
the
the,
food.
meat. Yeah. They seem like they have a healthy marriage, though, all things considered.
It was funny because when I was watching it, like, even early on, I was just kind of like, I feel bad for the dad of this family because he seems like he's surrounded by crazy people.
Right.
And then at the
And
end, I
sure
was like,
enough, it's
well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hashtag couple goals. like.
I did really like the ending, though.
Yeah.
Like, I liked the reveal.
Mm.
I think it's a
I
good
didn't.
bow tie on the
It
end
felt
of it.
very shock. Ah.
Yeah, but this
Feels
movie is
shock.
shock
It was
off.
leading. It led it with like a massive red screen that just said "raw" in
Raw.
like massive letters.
Yeah.
So it's like I guess it was supposed to be like
Oh
a
Yeah.
boom. Don't forget about us.
Right.
You know.
Feels
Yeah,
weird.
they thought they were cooking with that one.
Yeah.
I feel like
did.
they thought they were cooking a lot because at the very beginning, all it showed was a car, coming down
Mm.
the road, and then
Later.
it's never. Well, I guess it showed it one time while they were on
Right.
the bus, but then they finally said, "Oh, this is the bitch that's been swerving cars into trees and I guess eating them." I
Yeah.
don't know.
You
Get-
think thered be more road protection if that's
In
happening
Europe?
A lot?
Well, and
No.
that's why I was like, maybe this is over the course of a semester versus 3 cars in a week.
Right. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Was it
This
three?
is
I assumed it was just 2.
This is why I remember
Mm.
thinking some of the events suspended my belief on it being a week. I don't remember if I was in that camp, but if I had to look back on it, it does feel weird. Where it's just like they're getting away with a lot in a week if it's just a week, right?
Well,
Like,
to be fair, I would say a tighter time frame means they're less likely. Like they can get away with a whole lot
Sure.
more before things catch up to them.
Mm.
that's
Before
fair.
they start
That's fair.
Yeah.
having more
Only
precautions.
The 2
and stuff.
carloads of people die, right?
I
That's
think
actually
so.
at the
I think it
end.
is just
Yeah.
2, but you have to assume that this is going to it's not
Trigger
over.
the police eventually.
I mean, or just how the sister eats, and then how she was gonna train her sister how to eat. so.
Spoiler: the police were also rioting.
They were
with
also
the,
eating.
They were dealing with the
Oh.
riots, so that's why they couldn't actually deal with the people
Mm.
dying. France.
Mm.
Fat, thin, perfectly fit. Starting with Jill.
I mean, I guess it was fit. It didn't feel long to me.
Didn't need to nibble off any fat.
Yeah, he didn't want to.
Like, no, I mean, no. I mean, I don't like the eyeball scene. Just get rid of that.
Can we talk about how much vodka that she had in that cup?
That
She
was a
Did you
lot.
notice
Like
that?
It was a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
did.
Yeah,
vodka.
that was a lot.
No bartender out there. I don't
No.
care how much you're getting paid is gonna pour you a friggin' solo.
No, that's-
bottle of
There's
vodka.
no responsible person
No.
in this movie.
Really
Like, there's
not.
no bartender.
Someone
there's
has
no
to tend to all that
administrators,
alcohol.
No police.
Someone
no,
has to.
no nope, there are only these students and
Maybe
that one
like the
It's
Super
professor.
just lawless France.
Yeah.
Typical France.
I know.
Typical French people.
And I know it. That bartender would later get the guillotine. Is what we would find out. Annabeth.
I guess it's fit. There are a lot of things that I would cut, but not for time, just because I didn't like them.
Mm.
So I would say it's fit for what it wanted to do.
Man, I'm just kind of like no comment about it. It's like,
You've been in this situation before.
Yeah.
I get it.
I've been here before. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it more now.
Thanks, Dylan.
I feel like this movie sits on a bad premise out of the gate,
Yeah.
and that will immediately, for me, put me off. Like, I feel like Price is another person that, weird bad premise or something that doesn't really
Immediately
Oh,
sets
he
him off.
would.
Yeah.
He would, yeah.
Yeah.
Was there something about this viewing that you hated more than the first one?
the fact that I had to do it again.
Simple as that.
Yeah, he's like,
You don't have to get much deeper.
yeah.
I didn't need to watch this movie.
I
again.
wish you guys
I'm
could
kind of
have.
surprised you did.
Yeah, I wish you guys could have been at the table. I'm telling you, like
Oh,
Nathan's not wrong.
No.
I sprinkled an absolute, C4 charge
Yeah.
on the table. Just had these guys watch it, and boy, you
This
you
is-
guys thought Brothers was bad.
And this was our
I got ridiculed for this one for like
to
definitely
date.
that week.
Still.
Yeah, really.
Until now.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part,
Brothers was bad on camera. This
Yeah.
was bad off camera.
I think the thing with it too, though,
Brothers
Mason,
was
is
bad on camera without audio.
Twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this was like your second or third movie.
This is my second movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever
What
your
made
first.
you choose? This is your second movie.
Nathan nailed it. I wanted to see what the group was about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also, this is like
He was
my
vibe
favorite
checking.
genre, so it's like
Yeah.
if they can handle this, then they're gonna like
French
the
horror
horror
is
is
his bread and butter.
or
That's-
but yeah.
yeah, that's
like,
true.
what was it, Frontiers? Is
Frontier-
that one also
yeah.
French?
No, yeah.
That one is
Yeah.
French, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
Bad,
it is.
wasn't
Is that
You know what's
Oh,
funny?
yeah.
You remember what happens at the beginning of the movie? The fucking riots.
Yeah, that's why they're fleeing.
Yeah.
Which in the
Yeah.
Raw universe is why they were all distracted. The movie's fit. Yeah, I gotta come back to saying that there's not like to echo the chamber here on this one. Yeah, there's some parts that I definitely would like to not watch again. I say, making myself and everybody else watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
But altogether, it's like a pretty tight package. So if we start cutting stuff, it's just not a movie at that point. It's just like a French girl goes to college.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Let's cut the whole movie.
Nathan's like, if we could delete this movie from existence, that would be
If
a
I
choice.
could delete it from my memory,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's not a lot of things that I'm like, yeah, I could do without. I could do without this.
So that's fair. Mason.
Very fit. I think the tempo is a little bit
Temple.
not got my tempo.
Yeah.
It's a little slow at the very beginning, but I think I don't know, maybe this is just me as an American, but like I kind of need that, with like a foreign movie just to kind of get
Into it.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is all I need. She's going to be a veterinarian. Okay, her parents are pretty prestigious. Okay, fine, whatever. And then you get into the good stuff after you've sort of gotten used to everything. But I think it's very fit. I think it serves its purpose very, very easily. So.
I'm jumping off one thing you said. I will say I didn't fully realize she was at vet school until they were sedating the horse.
Huh.
And I'm like, what?
Well, I guess that would have been a pretty good indication.
I mean, I was
Yeah.
very concerned when I didn't know they were in vet school, and there was suddenly a horse that was just kind of.
What about when the
Go
sister
down.
was like,
I'll give you that
No,
one
well, deep
because
in
you were
the-
the one that told me that it was a week-long hazing
Yeah.
session. But yeah, they at the very beginning in the car ride they talk about
I
it.
guess I missed that subtitle.
That's okay.
I didn't even get that subtitle, but I knew it going
Yeah.
in, so that did make the
I was.
difference.
Like, I knew she was going to school. I
Yeah.
Mhm.
didn't
Yeah.
realize it was
Well,
vet school.
So that's the thing. I think all they keep saying is like, oh yeah, there's the hospital,
Mhm.
there's the morgue right next to the school, right
Mhm.
next to the school, right next to the school.
Mhm.
So like they
Yeah.
don't necessarily say veterinarian school all the time, but
That's true.
it's just
Also,
mentioned
the
maybe
main
first.
character's young enough that I was like, is she going to boarding school?
That's
Right.
another thing.
Yeah.
She was 17, evidently, whenever she started, and she does look like she's like 14.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was pretty
She looks-
young.
Yeah, she
Very
looks
young.
so young.
Right.
Yeah.
And her sister looks like she would be at least like a senior in high school, or like
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, I give her like
I mean, she
18,
looks like she's
19.
in college. For
Yeah,
sure.
she's
Yeah.
like she's young
Yeah.
college, right?
So,
Scores. Back to you, John.
Jill, would you like to lead us off?
There are a lot of things that I was really annoyed in this movie about. Mostly the collegiate hazing, which I thought was odd.
You didn't get hazed in college?
I
What's
didn't
wrong
have
with
to
you?
crawl around and get my bed thrown out the window.
So you guys thought some other stuff was funny. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
She just kept coming home, and
Yeah,
her
the
shit
bed.
was
Every,
wrecked.
yeah.
Like, it all
God.
just seemed like a bit too extreme for what was going on. I found it annoying.
Yeah.
It didn't really feel like, I feel like the movie's just trying to be shock and awe, and I don't really care for that too much. Like, there's some stuff that was shot well. Obviously, they did a really good job at, like, the actual effects of body horror.
Mm-hmm.
But I just didn't care about the movie, so I guess I'll just give it a 5.
Mm.
Oh man, I thought you were gonna go lower.
I mean, I thought about
No, just wait for Nathan. Annabeth,
Yeah,
he's got
don't
you.
worry, he's got it.
You don't have to do it.
He's
can
got
do it
both
for
of you guys.
you.
This is such a hard one to give a score to because there's so much I don't like,
Mm.
but there's some stuff I like.
Mm.
Okay.
All right.
Was her eating the finger one of the things you liked?
It was a good scene.
It was a good scene.
I mean,
Yeah.
not to be weird, but yeah, I mean, I liked that scene. It was good. It was like, oh my gosh, oh.
The start to finish from the wax to the eating
Okay,
finger
no,
is
I
no,
hated the waxing.
as a
I
whole
was gonna
segment,
say,
it's such a good build though. Like
It is, but once the finger comes off, it gets better because then we're not in the waxing anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anything to
Yeah.
escape from the waxing.
Mm.
Gosh. I'm gonna give it a 5 also. I was gonna go lower, but I really, the cinematography was really good, and they, for what they were doing, they did it well, so I
That's
guess
exactly
I have
what
to
you
give
said.
it
No, I
to
was
them
waiting-
for
I
that.
was waiting to
You
hear
can
it.
be subjective.
It's
with your
like a
score.
not
That's,
an in-
you're not a critic. You're
Oh.
getting a
Wait,
personal
are we not
review.
critics?
Well, so the
Yeah.
thing is, she did say that she enjoyed
Yeah, she
like
yeah.
parts of
Like,
the
you
movie.
Parts
remember
of-
how
yeah.
like, weird the character development was? Like, any of their decisions didn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
But I also really liked the weird relationship between the two sisters and never really knowing which way it was gonna go and if she was gonna like help her or hurt her. And,
Yeah.
Or
like, I found it really interesting.
Was the sister gonna ever
With
eat the
sis-
sister? You know,
or
Right.
the
like,
roommate
Yeah.
and how like
that was
like
all
the-
really weird
the
too.
roommate
it
was
was
really
weird, but guess
weird.
what? France. Like that,
Yeah.
literally all of these things where I
Just
was like, wow,
explain
that's a
it
little
France.
strange. I was like,
French.
it's just a
Do
different
you just
culture.
chalk up everything? Like, maybe
If it's a foreign movie, that is my number
Mason,
one go-to.
maybe it's not France. Maybe it's the movie.
Yeah, it might be.
No,
but
I
like
think it's France,
anything, like
yeah.
Denmark, any movies from like in Europe or whatever,
Yeah.
where it's just like, okay, it's gonna be a little different. Okay, well, and they're getting away with it, so it's like, who am I to say that's fucking stupid?
Yeah.
That's not.
We don't know that
correct.
doesn't fly there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Cannibalism.
Right.
Let's go. Maybe we should try it.
Yeah.
No, never mind.
No, not America. We're all too fatty.
Mason's just trying to like lead on to
No.
some moment where somebody agrees with him.
I'm grasping for straws.
Because
yes.
he's just like, yeah, let's try cannibalism.
Uh-huh.
No one gave
Maybe
him
the
Theo?
time.
maybe
Theo?
the movie's not that bad, guy.
Yeah. Maybe
Nathan,
they're onto something.
Nathan
Maybe.
is the movie that bad?
Oh, it's terrible.
yeah.
I don't like this movie. I didn't like this movie the first time. First time, I probably gave it a score off of like the merits of it as a film, more so than I would these days with trying to just be more like true to my own
Yeah. So
taste.
Yeah.
I hate this movie. I don't want to ever see it again. I will never watch this again. I like very realistic gore kind of stuff. I don't. This one just hits different. Like The Thing, like Dead Space, like
Yeah.
any sort of like
Over the
that
top.
sort of horror
Right.
and like body transformation sort of stuff. I'm a fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of this. I'm not sure where you delineate this, but like
Right about there.
Yeah.
it reminds me of like sometimes even seeing people like wearing fake blood can make me nauseous.
Mm.
So I don't know what my deal is with that, but
Yeah.
I don't like this
Okay,
movie.
give me some time. We'll
I don't
figure
like
it out.
the premise of this movie because I don't think the hazing makes any sense. It's so over the top and stupid. I don't give them a cultural differences pass. This
No.
Schools are
it's
like that.
so
No school.
aggressively stupid that it constantly takes me out of this movie. Like it irks me, and
Yeah.
it just piles on top of everything else that I don't like about this. So I I was thinking I was gonna give it like a 1 or a 2, but everybody kept bringing up the finger thing, and every time they did, I was like, I'm dropping it.
See how low I can go.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna give this a 0. This to me is the
That's
worst
fair.
movie.
Yeah.
I don't like this movie at all.
Yeah.
I don't care if there's redeeming moments in it. I don't like this movie.
Well, I'm glad you were able to give it a second watch just to make sure that you didn't like it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'd hate for you to be unsure.
Yeah, because you weren't really that sure to begin with.
Yeah, you were.
know?
You were like, this is technically speaking, they knock it out of the ballpark in a lot of ways. And, that's. And now you're like, technically speaking, I don't give a shit. This
Yeah,
movie-
technically speaking, I'd rather burn in hell. Than
Yeah.
watch this movie.
Now, but my lifelong goal will be to like have you at like
Find
old
this
people's
director.
home and get the third watch in
Oh,
eventually.
yeah.
Or get you on an airplane that you can only watch Raw. Like it's just all Ross.
I hope that like 12 years from now, Nathan is just walking into a buddy's house. He's having to, just pick something up, and
Yeah.
Raw is playing on that buddy's TV,
Uh-huh.
and Nathan is just put right back on this couch.
Yeah.
In his head, he's just traveled back in time, and
And
he's
I
and he
half
just
wondered
gets
if you were
so
going to
mad.
come out of your room while Annabeth was watching the movie.
Or you guys had
I
three
watched
different
I watched it in
viewings.
my room.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Yeah, I watched it right here.
3
That's
different
a lot of
viewings.
Raw in
That's a
here.
lot of Raw.
A
Yeah.
lot of Raw.
I'm good.
Man, the gang gets raw on this episode, huh?
Yeah.
Mason, strangely enough, even though this is your movie that I've boomeranged,
Mhm.
I guess you
Oh,
got.
I guess I get to go.
Yeah, I
next,
guess you
don't
get to go.
I
yeah.
did forget about
You
that.
just give your score at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
3, 2, 1.
All right. Oh,
I want to go into mine a little bit though.
yeah. Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
you can if you want to.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and knock it out. Mine's quicker, I think. So,
Whatever.
I think whenever I first watched this movie, I gave it right around a 5 or something like that. If I recall the records on
I think it
4.55.
was,
Yeah. I think I was a little too harsh on this movie, honestly.
Mm-mm.
That's what I'm talking about.
You can go a little lower.
That's what I'm
I-
talking about.
No, because here's the thing.
The gang's all here.
Through this podcast, holistically, from the beginning of this podcast to now, I've really got to see what my 5s and 4s and 3s and 2s and even 1s and 0s look like.
You didn't know you could go so low.
Yeah.
This was the 6th movie we ever reviewed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So out of like 300.
The bar was
now,
so
yes.
high before. We are over 300
I don't know
movies
if we're
deep.
300, but we're up
No,
there.
we're
We're over 200.
We're over 2. Listen, we'll get to 3 before we're done. And I will say, having fully fleshed out the bottom end of my movie spectrum now, this movie don't belong there. This movie, it gets the patented 6.5 in my opinion. It is one of the things where after a rewatch, I'm like, okay, and I actually said pretty much what Annabeth said, so I'll echo what she said, even though she's echoing what I said years ago. But we'll split hairs. Is that the movie goes out and sets like it does a lot of things right. My biggest problem was that it does the things too good, and that makes me feel uncomfortable. But that kind of in itself is a compliment as much as it is a burden on it. So in that way, I definitely feel like it has to sit around 6.5 because it's one of these movies now where I have to sit there and say, would you rewatch it again? I guess so, yes. And then if you say, would you recommend it? And I'm like, I keep trying to get Hannah to watch it because it seems like vegetarian propaganda that she kind of be into, low key. Like, so now with like those kind of criteria in mind, I feel like it's a little weird to leave it at anything less than like a 6.5, right? The French music kind of hits. The girls pee on each other. That's kind of funny to me. I don't know, like. And then the finger comes off, and I'm just like, yep, still as gross as the first time. Did not make me want to eat chili out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
That is my score. Mason.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Nathan went down about 5 points. You went
Right.
up about 1.5.
Right.
So.
Well, average bell curve,
That
right.
makes sense. It's all checking out.
Price, what did you think
Yeah.
of the...
I'm surprised he didn't want to.
I'm surprised he
put
didn't watch it
something into
either.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. Yeah.
He's the
I
only one that got to escape this.
he
Yeah.
really did.
See, this will be the third watch for you, is when we have to make him do the
Yes,
second watch.
once he
I won't.
But like a
I
Clockwork
will not.
Orange.
Nathan's sick that week.
Like a Clockwork Orange, we'll get him in
I
the
mean, it's only
chair.
fair that someone gets to rotate out, though.
Yeah, eventually. He'll
Yeah,
rotate
I'll
back
rotate
in.
out. It'll be great.
Nah.
I was actually thinking whenever I was watching this movie, like, what is sort of my favorite horror? It used to be sort of like a Wreck sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Like, I actually used to like Quarantine until we actually watched Wreck, and then
And then Wreck really
Wreck is
knocks it out of the
so
park.
much better.
So much
Quarantine
better.
sucks
Yeah.
compared to that. But like that and like The Strangers has always been like kind of my 1 and 2.
Stranger still holds up.
Strangers is good, the first one.
You don't watch sequels on horror movies though.
That's the thing, yeah.
They drop quick.
But I think I'm pretty safe to say this might be one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I think it's fun, not to pick at Nathan, but like the premise of this being a little silly, a little outrageous. I think of movies like Chucky, where like a doll just comes to life and he's just slaughtering. Like, why can't you just punt that child across the football field? Like, it should just be so easy to just solve these problems. So like, even with them having, you know, silly plots and stuff like that. But I don't know, the hazing rituals and stuff, I think it's fun. It just pushes the movie along. The fact that this takes the place over about a week does kind of make more sense, and I'm glad for that, because we kind of ironed a lot of that stuff out here.
Yeah.
Like, it makes more sense that it's shorter time span versus 7 months of school. But I'm still going to land at the same school that I had the first time, which is a 9. I genuinely
forgot it was that high for him.
like
Wow.
this movie. I think it's I don't even want to say how many times I've seen it.
Do you agree how similar it is to Novice?
It is.
Yeah.
And you,
Oh, he liked
you,
the Novice.
I thought
too.
you
I
didn't like it.
I like the Novice
I thought
too.
you
Yeah.
didn't like the Novice.
No, it's
No, we
that,
did. We all didn't like
Everybody
the
else
Novice.
did.
yeah, when the director can sort of like make you feel that uneasiness, it's just that is what horror is to me. It's not all the blood. It's not all the. I'm with you
It's
guys.
not the jump scares.
This is not as grotesque as like we were all kind of making it out to be. I don't really think it is. The
No.
final scene has more blood in it. Well, the bed scene where like
Right.
the guy's legs all half eaten off, but like that has more blood in it than anything in the whole movie, for the most part.
Well, and I think in the case of the Novice, your issue with it was that you regretted having us all sit and watch
Yeah.
it together.
Yeah.
No, you got. I didn't want to be in there.
Like that,
Yeah,
that
you're
was
right.
something where you're like that was his problem there.
Yeah, he got to hear the live
Like
roasting.
he
as
might
a-
have liked it, but he was very much feeling a room that did not.
And
Fair.
I came in that day having just
You had
watched it
just
the night
watched it.
before.
You were high on
And
it.
I was
yeah.
so high on it, the wheel spun. I got a random slice just given to me. I didn't have another movie in mind.
Yeah.
Said the Novice, and I had to sit my ass here and watch it with
Yeah.
5 of you.
Uh-huh.
And it was. I still like that movie, but yeah, it's
I
That
discovered
movie
in
sucks.
this movie that is not my vibe. of
all right.
movie.
Novice or Raw.
Oh, that's the question. Raw. It's no question. Like,
You like Raw more? What about you?
by a landslide.
I don't
The
like
Novice.
either of them. I will watch the Novice, I suppose, if I have to.
Yeah.
It's got more water in it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Less blood, more water.
Less nudity.
Jill.
If it weren't for the hazing, I would have chosen Raw.
Mm.
But I hated the hazing so much
Mm.
because I
It's
just thought
aggressively bad.
it's like it's too much.
It
Because
is.
you
It's-
can have
it's a
less
lot, yeah.
hazing and still have the vibe you want without being like too ridiculous.
I actually
Well,
wanted
and
more
also,
hazing.
like, how is she getting schoolwork done when she's getting pulled around, like
she's clearly
eating
not.
rabbit?
She's like falling
Yeah.
apart in school. Like she's getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Or maybe the teacher hates her. Could be either way.
I think it's both.
It's probably
He
both.
definitely doesn't like her.
He definitely hates her.
She keeps eating people. I hate
Yeah.
her
Does
too.
she really?
She
though?
has one
doesn't,
trait.
like kill anybody, right? She eats her sister's finger,
Yeah.
and she doesn't eat the car crash victims.
No.
She eats
Well,
all the raw food.
She was
though.
in a little shock at that
She
point.
eats her roommate at the end.
She does eat
She
the
doesn't.
roommate.
Does she?
No,
though?
that's
I
the.
thought that was
Oh,
entirely-
well,
that
the
was her
sister
The
eats
sister.
100%,
Yeah,
yeah.
never mind. The sister.
I
eats
got
her
jealousy
roommate,
ploy.
So I guess it
ate
doesn't.
him at all. So I think the only
Yeah.
like she doesn't kill anybody.
She thought she ate him.
And then she
And then
realizes
she realized
her
her
sister,
sister ate him.
is all gorged out on the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so she doesn't really. I mean, other than her sister's finger.
I'm
mean,
telling
she
you,
eats
she
human
really
flesh, but,
doesn't
like-
eat much
Yeah.
in this whole movie,
And when
You're
she's
right.
having sex with her,
which is
like
why.
she eats her own hand. There.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why, like,
To
you know,
be
we
fair,
chalk
who
this up
hasn't
to
tried?
a cannibal movie, but it's, you know, it's not as.
I mean, it's definitely
It
a
is,
cannibal
'cause
movie.
It
her sister's
is,
cannibal.
but it's more the play on how she gets there and like the
Yeah.
reasoning why. It's not so much of just she's going around fucking eating people. You know, it's like
I
and,
think-
like Fresh had more eating people than anything.
It did. I'll say like the kind of the final thought on the hazing thing, and then we'll wind out. Is I remember thinking on this rewatch why the hazing didn't. It's never really bothered me to begin with on this one. Is because it reminds me of the Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode where they go do like the home makeover, but they just kidnap a random like Mexican family, and then they're just, like they never tell them, and of course the Mexican family doesn't know Juarez family, and they're just destroying the house, and that's what the hazing feels like. So it kind of just makes me laugh because it makes me think of that. So this movie could have done with more hazing. It gives me a good chuckle.
I agree.
Let's spin the wheel.
I think we only have a couple options
Two
left here.
options.
There's
Yeah.
2 options.
Which one's it gonna be?
Who survived Annabeth?
What is it?
It's game on.
It's-
Blackout.
Is that another Mason pick?
It's
It's
me.
a Mason pick.
What is it?
What is it?
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah!
Oh, I'm finally gonna watch this movie.
I'm glad it was on the wheel. Surprise all.
It was on here this whole time. We mentioned it probably
I've been saying it
10
2 or
different
3 times.
times.
We
now.
talked about it during 500 Days of Summer
did.
because I was like, I've never seen it, but I get the vibe Scott Pilgrim is the boy version of 500
I
Days
feel like
of Summer.
Chris
I'm gonna
would want
hate
to
it.
sit in with this.
Yeah, let's
Chris-
talk.
He might love it.
Chris is a big fan.
Big
of
Scott
it.
Pilgrim fan.
Yeah.
Let's bring him on.
Too bad he's not a podcast host.
Well, you're name dropping their biggest fan, so.
That's
Oh.
true. And per usual,
We
we
have
just
to reach out every so often.
that's true.
This is part of, hosting a very
Right.
famous
Famous
podcast.
podcast.
You
Right,
kind of have
of
to
course.
accommodate.
you gotta slum it up with
Hi, audience.
with the guests to make them come on from time to time. So.
Thank God he'll have seen this before we
Yeah.
belittle him on this screen.
Right, he'll never know we
Yeah.
said all these things. Right. No, let's bring Chris on. That'll be fun.
I think he'd probably. I don't know. I'll ask.
We'll see.
Yeah, just
We'll
ask
see.
him. We'll see.
We'll see.
Anyways, as always, let us know in the comments below what you think. Was The Novice better? Was Raw better? Is Scott Pilgrim going to be better than this? Maybe.
Like undoubtedly.
Yeah.
No
I
chance
mean,
it doesn't
you
get a
can
better
pick, you
overall
can pick
score.
anything.
Uh-huh.
I'd watch Birdemic again.
No, you wouldn't.
I'm
No,
texting
you
Price
would not.
right now.
Text him.
I'll watch the director's cut of Lawnmower Man.
No, you won't. Fucking prove it. Prove it, Nathan. It's been
I'll
years.
watch it and I'll probably enjoy it.
No, you probably will.
You like this
Yeah.
or Thanksgiving? Is that above that?
Thanksgiving's way above this.
It's-
Way above
Wow.
this.
Thanksgiving is just one of those like fun like.
Thanksgiving's
silly
in the-
movies.
yeah, Thanksgiving's in the
funny.
same tier.
I
Yeah.
don't think so.
I'm not gonna go score, but I'll say in the same tier of like, this is like my brainless horror entertainment like genre. Like Thanksgiving and Raw are floating in the same thing for me.
Hmm.
So, because then you get like dumb horror like Jason Goes to New York or Jason X, which-
Leprechaun 6.
Leprechaun 6, and then
Yeah.
you get like good thrillers, and that's where I'm like more on board.
I
But...
forgot, like Leprechaun in the Hood. It was
Yeah.
on like Tubi the other day, and I just about watched it.
Of course, it was on Tubi. Where all of your
Awful.
movies go to
I mean,
watch.
Tubi's really.
Oh, it's good.
got some
Tubi's the
bangers
B
in there,
the
you
D tier
know?
banger like
Yeah.
platform
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
Anyways, make sure to like the content because we're always watching movies for your sake.
Especially good ones.
Yeah, the good ones today, bad ones tomorrow. We'll see. Make sure to subscribe because we're probably still at 69 subscribers. We're trying to get that 420 sub before 420.
Before we turn 420 years old.
Also true. Or before we watch
Combined.
420 movies.
Ah, that'd be a good one.
Ah, see this? Yeah.
We're 200 away.
We're 200 away, guys. We're
Ain't
so
no
close.
way.
420 by 420.
Hey,
There you
we're so close. Help us out. Anyways, until next time, we're gonna watch Scott Pilgrim. Chris, we'll see you then. Bye.
We're at,
I think that was great.
We're currently at 68, by the way.
What?
No.
We dropped one?
You
Yeah.
have to resubscribe.
I gotta resubscribe.
Yeah.
Aw.